Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Cheryl and this is Table Full of Joy. I'm so glad you could join me today. Tony and I are taking off tomorrow morning for Florence, Oregon, over on the Oregon coast. When I retired from my job as a chef, my board gave me a 3-night stay at the coast whenever I wanted to go. And so we are heading over tomorrow morning. We're going to go and stay for a few days over there. Super excited. It's supposed to be really warm over there, warmer than it is here where we live right now, where we are now. It's been in the 40s, really low 20s at night. So it's been pretty cold here. We're expecting almost 60 degrees the whole weekend while we're over there. So we're super excited about that. So I am doing some cooking and some prepping. As much as I love to eat out, I still love to eat home cooked food. And so we are prepping to take food with us to the coast to cook while we are there. They have a beautiful kitchen in the condo, and I'm just gonna plan some very simple meals so that we can spend our time enjoying the coast and not spending all of our time in the kitchen, but I still want to be able to have good home cooked food while we are gone. So yesterday I started this no knead bread. You guys have seen me do this before. I'll post the video up here for you guys of how to do this bread. But I changed it up just a tiny bit. I added about a tablespoon of freeze-dried chives. I added about a teaspoon of onion powder, and I added about a teaspoon of dried oregano because I want more of an herby type bread. We're going to be using this to have with a couple of the meals that we're having over at the coast, but also for sandwiches if my husband wants a sandwich in the afternoon. So you can see our bread is nice and risen. This is the no knead bread that has to sit for 12 to 18 hours. So if you're planning to have this for dinner one night, make it the day before so that it can sit overnight, and then you guys will be ready to make your bread in the morning. I'm going to take off my jewelry because I don't want to get dough in my wedding ring, and we are going to put a good amount of flour down on our board because this has to really, it's very sticky dough to start off with, and we are going to form this into a ball. Once we get it into a ball, we're going to put our parchment paper into this bowl, and we're going to set our loaf of bread in that. It's going to rise for 30 minutes while our Dutch oven is heating up in the oven for 30 minutes at 450 degrees. So as you can see, our dough is really soft, but that's exactly what you want. Don't freak out. It's totally fine. This is what it should be. So we are going to just scoop all of this dough out here. Oh, I love the feel of dough. Bread dough, I love making bread. I really do. Bread is one of my favorite things. I love to make sweets, but I really love to make bread. Okay, so we have our dough. So our dough down here on the bottom has got flour on it already. Move this back a little bit so you guys can see. So the bread down here, the dough has already got flour on it. So we are going to just keep folding this dough onto itself with the flour so that we're going to get this into a nice ball, and we're going to be able to make this hold its shape. And we're going to want a nice tight, if you feel like your hands are getting a little bit sticky, just put your hands down in the flour, get a little more flour on your hands, and just keep working your dough until you get it into a nice shape. You want a nice tight top on it when you finally finish. Make sure that you have this all the way pulled. You just keep folding it onto itself, pulling it up, and getting it to that shape that you want. You want a nice tight round ball, a little bit of stickiness there. We'll get a little flour on our hands. This is going to be so good. I can smell the chives, I can smell the onions, I can smell all of those things, and that is going to make this bread super tasty. Get a little more flour. Okay, so we're going to look at our loaf here. I'm going to turn this over. It's a little bit tacky right here. We're going to get a little flour on our hands so that we can pull this nice and tight. Because what you want is a nice tight ball of dough. It's going to be very loose, and that's okay. It's totally fine to be loose. But we have our nice round of dough right there. So that's going to be perfect. So now we're going to take our parchment paper. We're going to put our parchment paper A little loud, sorry about that. We have our parchment down in here. You want to have excess dough, you want to have the excess paper hanging over the edge. It's not wanting to stay, but it'll move down in there once we put this in. We're just going to plop our bread right down in here. We're going to nestle it right down in here, and we're going to let this sit for 30 minutes inside our parchment paper. And then when we get ready to bake this, we're going to take the parchment paper, lift it out. The parchment paper is going to go right into our Dutch oven with our bread, and then it's going to bake for 30 minutes. So we're going to get the oven preheating now at 450 degrees. Our bread's going to sit. We're going to put our Dutch oven in here with the lid on. And we're going to let our bread rest. It's been 30 minutes and our Dutch oven has been in the oven getting hot. So we're going to just pull this out real quick. You want to very carefully take the lid off of this because it is going to be very hot. Don't forget that it's hot. We'll move this over here so you guys can see. So we have our bread, and our bread has been sitting in this bowl with parchment paper for 30 minutes while our Dutch oven heated up. So this is the reason for parchment. Let's move it over this way so you guys can see. Because now you just lift the bread and the parchment, we drop it right into our Dutch oven. We're gonna grab a knife. I don't have a bread score. They sell a special knife, like if you're making sourdough or those other boules or those other really fancy types of breads, they sell a score. I don't have one of those, I just have a really sharp knife. So we are just gonna go ahead and make our cuts into the top of our bread so that we end up with that beautiful look that we want in our bread. And we're going to put our lid back on. And this is going to go back into our 450 degree oven for 30 minutes. And then it should be ready. Remember, pot holders, this pot is very hot. It's been 30 minutes, and after looking at my recipe, I realized it cooks for 30 minutes with the lid on and then 10 minutes with the lid off. So we're gonna open our oven and take our lid off. That is looking beautiful. Okay, so it's gonna cook for 10 more minutes with the lid off, and then we should be able to take it out. We're gonna let it cool completely. I know it's tempting to slice into a nice hot loaf of bread. I love nothing more than doing that, but it really does affect the texture of the bread if you do that. If you don't let it cool completely, then when you cut into it, it just ruins the whole texture of the bread. So while our bread is finishing cooking, I just wanted to share a little bit more about what our plan is for this weekend. It's actually not the whole weekend. We're coming home on Saturday. We're leaving tomorrow on Wednesday. We'll come back on Saturday. And we are planning to bring meals. Tony and I sit down and planned our meals out together, what we wanted to bring. I didn't want to take anything that was going to cause a whole lot of mess or like a whole lot of groceries to bring. So we are doing some really simple things together. Tomorrow night, we'll just start off lunch tomorrow. We'll probably pack a lunch to bring with us. We'll probably stop and eat lunch at the beach someplace in Florence. And then we'll be able to check in early afternoon, and we will have, Tony requested that I do a honey mustard pork chop tomorrow night with roasted potatoes, apples, and carrots. So we are gonna prep some carrots this afternoon so that those are ready to go. I'm gonna save the potatoes to do tomorrow just before we eat. I'm gonna take the pork chops out of the freezer. And then on Thursday morning, we are doing a, Tony requested pancakes, bacon, and eggs for breakfast, which is a traditional thing when we go camping or whatever. And so we are gonna take things to do pancake, bacon, and eggs tomorrow. I'll make my own pancake batter. I tend to like to make my own mix So I'll make my pancake batter here and I'll bring it with me and be able to just mix it up when we get to the condo tomorrow morning for breakfast. I have bacon in my freezer. I'm gonna pull that out so it'll be thawed and ready to go for tomorrow morning, and we'll just bring some eggs. And then for dinner tomorrow, for Thursday night, we are doing a chicken taco bake. So that's just gonna be eaten with tortilla chips. It's gonna be kind of like a nacho dip kind of with tortilla chips. So we're just gonna have that for a nice casual dinner on Thursday night, just something to relax. And then Friday morning, we are doing a chili rellenos. It's a lazy chili rellenos breakfast, which is gonna have green chilies, sausage, cheese, and then our egg mixture on it. It's gonna be super tasty with some corn tortillas and some hash browns. And then on Friday night, we were planning to have salmon, but right now I'm having a hard time finding some good salmon, so I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. We may have to change the Friday dinner plan a little bit, but something with baked potatoes and salad is the plan. And then Saturday morning, I do this when I go camping too. I love to make something that I can put into a foil pan, that I can throw it in the oven so that I don't have to babysit it. It's just gonna cook itself so that I can start getting things packed up and cleaned up and ready to go, so that when we're finished eating, we can just load everything in the car and we can take off. I do it when I go camping. So I'm making a California breakfast casserole that I make. That's one of our favorites. We do it when we go camping and it's super easy. I have a Camp Chef camp oven. I love it. It has an oven with 2-burner stove on top. And so I make this California breakfast casserole when we go camping a lot. And I will take that casserole, put it in I'll take our Camp Chef oven off of my camp kitchen and I'll put it on the picnic table. And then I can throw that in there in the oven and it can be doing its thing while we are taking down the tent trailer and packing up the car and getting the dogs fed and all the other things that we need to do before we can leave. So I'm gonna do that on Saturday morning. I'll just throw that in the oven at the condo. That way it'll be cooking by itself. I can help Tony get things packed up and get the condo cleaned up and ready for us to leave, and then we'll come home. So I am super excited to have some time at the beach. I'm super excited to bring this fresh bread along with us to go with our pork chops tomorrow night for dinner, and possibly our salmon. If we can find some salmon on Friday, then we'll have salmon for dinner. So I'm excited to bring all this stuff with you. I'm excited to bring you guys along. We will be doing some cooking together at the condo at the beach, and I'll let you guys see where we're staying and how beautiful this little condo is overlooking the water. I'm super excited about that. So our bread's got about 5 more minutes. I'm gonna clean up a little bit and we'll get our bread out of the oven. Our bread is smelling amazing. I can't wait to eat this, but I'm gonna resist the temptation of cutting into a hot loaf of bread. I'm just gonna pull it out of the oven real quick. Better put these back on so I can show you the bread. I don't want to touch this pan. All right, so our bread is looking and smelling amazing. That is our bread. I am super excited to eat this. So I want to thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen this morning as I get prepped and ready for our trip. I will bring you guys back along as I start to get our meals prepped and ready for everything that we're going to be eating while we're staying at the condo this weekend. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me in my kitchen today. It means so much to me that you would take time out of your day to spend time with me. I hope that you'll join me again. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you're new around here, please subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the fun stuff that we do in the kitchen. I love sharing recipes with you and I love sharing my time with you. Have a great day, friends.